Hello and welcome everyone. We welcome you to our Vestralex free online community classes on law, free legal literacy initiative. This is your initiative by you, for you, and possible through only through the generous contribution of various seniors, members of the bar, of the bench, and all of our esteemed colleagues and the entire fraternity, which has taken upon itself to let such humble initiatives as ourselves also sustain. Uh, to add valor to our initiative, today we have with us the opportunity of learning from Shri Dr. S. Muralidhar sir. He is a senior advocate currently, but sir is like getting to know about sir is more like exploring an iceberg. So he is also former Chief Justice of Orissa High Court. He has previously served as a judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court and of the Delhi High Court. Uh, to get to know a little more about sir, he completed his Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry and secured first class from the Madras University in 1981. Now, what's important to know about sir is that the number one, it comes a lot. He later secured first rank in Bachelor's of Laws from the same university. As a law student, he was also member of a two-member moot court team from Madras Law College, and it won the All India Moot Court competition. And consequently, Sir had the opportunity of representing India in the 25th Philip Jessup International Law Moot Court competition, which was held in Washington, D.C. Sir has completed his LLM from Nagpur University in 1990 and secured first rank again over there. He was awarded a PhD by the University of Delhi in February 2003 for a doctoral program entitled Legal Aid and the Criminal Justice System in India. He is also a fellow of the Indian Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Sir began his practice in Chennai in September 1984. He qualified as a company secretary in December 1985. In July 1987, he shifted his practice to Delhi. He qualified the Advocate on Record examination in 1990, securing again the first position in merit. Justice Muralidhar was appointed as a judge of the High Court of Delhi on 29th of May 2006 and stayed as judge there for almost 14 years. He was later transferred as a judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, and where he took oath on 6th of March 2020. He was appointed as Chief Justice of Orissa High Court on 31st of December 2020 and took oath on 4th of January 2021. So this is, I think, about as much as I can want to tell about sir, because it just goes on. The more I try to research about you, the more it led me into such avenues that I realize that I will probably have to clear judiciary myself to get to know about you. So we very warmly welcome you, and it's our privilege and pleasure to learn from you today, sir. So my first
Yes,
my first thought to you, sir,
yes,
is so because what we usually how we do these classes is that we have the faculty choose a topic on which they are interested and then to speak with us. So when I requested you for a topic, you told me that Keshav, let's have a conversation. So, sir, just to start, sir, if I may ask you, so
yes.
what made you think that that conversation is more essential than just teaching on some point of law?
Yeah, one is that you are a group of young lawyers and you watched, hopefully, the system for a while. And this generation of young lawyers passing out through 5-year law courses has had the opportunity of internships, which we did not have when we were law students. And so you watched the system for a while, and you would have many perspectives. For me, just to get to know the audience is very important. Just talking on a topic as a monologue somehow does not interest me. And I like audience reaction. And since this is going to be online, very often when I give online talks, I do not know how the person at the other end is receiving it. When I'm in a hall, physically, I can actually see the expressions on people's faces. And sometimes you are able to modulate your talk accordingly, which is why I thought a conversation for an online format is better.
So I only know one thing for sure, so that it made me jump the guns of my mind as to what all conversation, because conversation is just open-ended, it can go anywhere, it can be anything for that matter of fact. So My understanding is that through this conversation, so what may be most beneficial for anyone who would be referring to this class right now or maybe in the future as well would be to get to know about you, sir. Because the more I got to know about you, the more I wanted to know more about you. So so first of all, sir, so the number one, it has a lot of relevance in your life. So wherever you are, you're always number one. So, so any tips for that? So what is the relevance of excellence?
Yeah, this number one is a very relative term. Number one in India, maybe number 100 in the world. All right. So that's the first lesson for anyone here listening. This number one, number two, number three has no meaning at all. It has had no meaning for me in life. Because I know there's always several people out there in the world and who've been there earlier, whom you've probably not even noticed, who've been much smarter, more intelligent, more with a greater breadth of vision. And in law, particularly, and this is something that my senior told me, there is no problem that is a new problem. It could be a new issue in an old problem. So there is something that's already been tried, tested before. Of course, there are cutting edge issues in law, like space law, for instance, cyber law now, and all kinds of issues we have now. Personality, rights to personality, and the issues arising out of cloning, gene technology, all of that. These are new issues, of course, but the fundamental basis of human problems remains the same. And there have been people far wiser, more knowing, more experienced who've learned how to approach these problems. So there's so much to learn in law. The life in law is a life of learning. And I don't think even the Chief Justice of India would dispute the fact that we are all learning every day. Although the degrees of experience may differ, but the process of learning is endless. So don't go by this number one, number two. And as a corollary, set your standards high. I always give the example of the last Olympics. I happened to see the recordings of pole vault. I don't know how many of you watched that event. The person cleared the world record in the second jump, and the gold medal was safely in his position. And yet he set that bar higher in a real sense. It's not metaphorical. He set the bar higher and said, let me try the third jump. Of course, he failed in the third jump, no risk of losing his gold medal. But what prompted him for that higher bar? So he was pushing himself to go higher and higher, right? So set your standards high. Sometimes when you look around you, you may think that you're better than the rest. But please remember, somewhere, someone in the world is better than you. Keep that in the back of your mind and keep setting higher standards for oneself. And in the field of law, looking at your peers or even looking at your superiors may not be enough to set such high standards. You have to look at the global scenario today. So I urge law students to go and see the live recordings that you have, real-time, relay telecasts that you have of the High Court of Australia, the Supreme Court of Canada, the state Supreme Courts in the United States. You can actually see lawyers perform before various courts in various kinds of issues and ask yourself, can you match this person whom you're watching? In terms of learning, in terms of presentation, in terms of ability, in terms of code craft. So today the entire world is out there for you to learn from. So and this is not being humble for the sake of being humble. It is because of the field of law. The field of law itself is very humbling. When you look at the experience of those who've been there earlier and who are there now in various parts of the world, it's extremely humbling to know how much one does not know. So this is something that has always stayed with me and will continue to stay with me. So that is my response to this question of yours.
So, but most humbly, if I may be permitted, and I know that you're not in favor of using your lordship and all such titles for that matter of fact.
Yeah.
And so, frankly, sir, there are so many topics on which there can be such extensive conversations with you that I actually I mentioned to the entire group earlier itself that time will be short, no matter what happens, no matter how much time we get. So, sir, in this respect, sir, how you mentioned international law as well, and learning from all of these international courts and their proceedings also. So, I was just trying to research, sir, and I could understand that there is actually a lot of law making that you have been a participant to. And so, being witness is one aspect, but being participant to is fundamentally different. So one thing about how young lawyers can use the international aspects of law to probably enhance their practice or to grow, so in terms of finances also, sir, because we've had a lot of people who've very senior people, sir, also who've come here and who've told us very clearly or to our face that for the first 5 to 10 years, please do not think at all about making money or whatever, because you will not be making money. But sir, I'm from a government law college. A lot of people over here are from. Our fees for one semester was not as much as what the expenses are over here. How do we sustain that, and how can we effectively use international legal whatever forums are available to sustain and better our practice?
Look, the field of law, as you correctly said, is not easy in the initial years, particularly when you're a litigator. Now you have campus interviews in most leading law schools, and very young people get fairly relatively high salaries very early on in life, and they become junior associates in large law firms, corporate law firms, earning quite satisfactorily by the current standards. Whereas the litigator who chooses to go in litigation in the trial courts or in the High Court or the Supreme Court cannot expect to earn that much. But in both cases, what you gain as experience is what is most important. I earlier used to think it's important for people to litigate instead of getting tempted to go to a law firm to take up corporate law practice. But I've since then modified my views on this for precisely for the problem that you point out. Some of them spend a lot of money during the course of legal education itself, and there's a need to recoup what you've spent because you've borrowed from parents, from relatives, from friends, and there's a pressure on you to earn, and therefore you take the option of going for corporate law practice. But if your passion is law, very soon it will take you to where you should belong. So you don't see law even as a career, you see law as a service. Service in the cause of people around you facing problems. People could be artificial people or real people, but if you have a passion for law, that passion itself will dictate your choices. And I would only urge wherever you are, you're in a job in a company, you're in a corporate law firm, you're litigating with a trial court lawyer, a high court lawyer, or Supreme Court lawyer, develop a passion for law. That is, eat, breathe, sleep law. All right. I know it's
So
easy
you've
to
done
say
that.
this and not easy to emulate, but you have to develop that. You must be interested in everything that is happening around you. You must be able to absorb things that are happening around you. You must be able to make it part of you. So, and the second challenge is to be able to do all this without affecting your personal situation to cloud it, which is why we call professionals. Why do we call a person a professional? A doctor. Let's say a doctor, she's had a rough morning at home, a rough morning with children, with husband, with parents, and she's a surgeon, right? Once she enters the operation theater, all that has to disappear. She's operating on your brain, on your heart, or your stomach. If she starts recollecting what happened with her that morning, she will not be able to perform. So you have to develop a certain clinical approach where the profession demands your 100% concentration, your attention, your skill, and your sense of responsibility to the person you're attending to. So that is how being a legal professional also is. It's in the same degree. So unless you develop a passion for that, you will not be able to bring to bear that degree of objectivity in what you're doing and skill in what you're doing and focus and concentration. So this is something that develops over life, and it's very challenging. Some people in your family may feel that you're just neglecting them, ignoring them, not being sociable. You're so caught up with your cases, and when I don't know, I'm sure it's happening with some of you already. You go for a evening get together, in the crowd, you're two lawyers in the midst of 10 others who are from different professions. Within 2 minutes, you start talking shop, right? You start talking about this lawyer, that case, this judge, and it all veers around law, and the others in the room feel completely, neglected. But this happens to most professions because of the complete involvement they have in their respective professions. But that equally is a challenge. When you come back home, how do you learn to keep that behind and focus on what's happening at home, intermingling with the family? So I would think a life in law is also a learning of life itself. It tells you more of you as a person, and you learn to accept people with all their negative and positive points.
Sir, what I understand, sir, is that all of these anecdotes, all of these examples also that you mentioned, sir, they strike directly at the heart of every, at least young lawyer. I don't know how it works after, I just don't have hair, but I'm
Keshav,
not
I
that
don't know.
senior in the
I'm
profession.
just hazarding a guess. Your girlfriend, if she doesn't happen to be a lawyer, will be bored to death. If every day you tell her, today in this court that happened, in that matter this happened, this client said this, she'll look at you strangely and saying, "You have no other life. Come on, grow up, man." She'll say. So
सर
this is a
सर
huge challenge for
सर
all of
ये
us.
सर थोड़ा हिंदी में बोलना पड़ेगा, ये दुखती रग पे हाथ हो गया सर ये, because sir young lawyers today don't have girlfriends, sir. Neither do we have the time, nor do we have the money. I think, sir, I'm just grateful that, sir, this is there in your consideration. So please, sir, guys, I'm telling you, sir, everywhere, like lawyers, for that matter of fact, guys as well as girls. Sir, 30 is not an age to get married anymore. Now
Right.
there is just practically no age, sir. Like parents
Correct.
and families are like, why are you not getting married now? What do we say to them, sir? That, oh, we want to establish ourselves. Okay, by when? How
Correct.
will you establish? What is
Correct.
the parameter for assessing
Correct.
that you've established yourself?
Correct. But
So,
also this, now that we are on that, in fact, when I talk to judicial officers in judicial academies, see, in law, and definitely more in life of a judge, you have to imbibe certain values. You will need to believe in certain values for you to be able to, convincingly argue for those values. Let's take the value of equality, for instance, respect for dignity. Now, if you don't treat people in your family with dignity, all right, your life partner as an equal partner. If you practice different kinds of standards, you abuse your domestic help who works with you at home, and then you're arguing for labor rights in the court. It's not a convincing performance at all. Somewhere it will come back to haunt you. This double standards, right? I argue for equality, non-discrimination in court, but I will not allow my daughter to marry a person from another caste, right? So I think we put ourselves to a higher standard of life itself. In our lawyer's office, do we practice equality? In our houses, do we adopt the principles of non-discrimination? These are very troubling questions. And do we intermingle with people of other castes and other religions? You say religion is a very private matter. It's each one's choice. But do you discriminate on the basis of religion is the question.
so
So these
with
are, like, I have a house, right? I have a choice of letting it out to 3 people. One of them belongs to a different religion. And I have strong feelings about other religions. And I have an unwritten rule that my house will not be given on rent or even sold to a person of another religion. I'm a lawyer. I'm a judge. And only I know that I harbor this prejudice, right? So what does it tell me about myself? These are the troubling questions that we have. Therefore, when we look at bar associations which pass resolutions saying nobody will appear for this person who's accused of rape, nobody will appear for this person who's charged with a terror offense, it tells us something very troubling about our legal profession. Just imagine if all doctors pass a resolution that they will not treat anyone in prisons. Will that be an acceptable proposition for us? They say people in prisons, some judges decided these are all bad people. they don't deserve to be medical treatment. Will it be an acceptable proposition for us? It will not, correct? Some prisoners tried to run away from a van in Tihar. The guard has shot him. He's hurt in his thigh. It has cut that most important vein. They're rushing him to the hospital. The doctor says, what was he being produced? Sir, he is accused of rape and murder. He is being produced in the court on remand. The doctor says, why should I operate on a rapist and murderer? Will that be acceptable to us or to the medical profession? It will not, right? You've heard of the Hippocratic Oath. So there are some values in life that we must abide by before we start preaching to the rest of society. If you have to earn the respect of society as a legal profession, you must communicate that you believe in certain values, particularly constitutional values. I don't think it's an excuse for any lawyer or a law student for that matter to say, I don't believe in the Constitution or I don't believe in the constitutional values. Saying I believe in the Constitution is some lip service that you make. But all those values that the preamble speaks of, fraternity, equality, liberty, freedom, if you don't believe it, not just for yourself, for the rest of the society, you must believe in that. So I think this practicing constitutional values in a very personal sphere is a very, very essential facet of functioning as a lawyer. People ask me, why don't we get, what's the problem in, I'm sure it's one of the questions you will have. What's the problem? There are some 15 lakh lawyers or 20 lakh lawyers in the country. And there are 400 vacancies in the position of high court judges. People say, don't give me this story that you can't find enough lawyers to appoint as judges, right? You heard this very often.
So,
Fact is you cannot.
Arbitrators also lots of things. Sir.
The fact is you cannot. And why can you not? Because you expect certain minimum desirable qualities in a judge, right? First, you expect a degree of fairness. You want patience. You want a person to be able to sit in that chair from 10:30 to 4:30 in the evening, listening to case after case, being completely objective, fair, and neutral. Correct? So what kind of person is capable of that is the question. I may be a brilliant lawyer.
May I genuinely, put this question to you, sir? What kind of a person, sir? It's the biggest sacrifice. What I understand, sir, a judge sacrifices every single thing which is there in his life.
No, the answer lies in not seeing it as a sacrifice. If you don't see it as a sacrifice, if you see it from the point of view of the person waiting for justice in your court, you will see it as a sense of responsibility and not a sense of sacrifice. Just imagine the plight of that man whose appeal is pending in your high court for the last 10 years. It's a heinous offense, all right. He's been sentenced to life. He's been put bail for the last 10 years. You have had no time as a high court because you're going by the queue system. You're still dealing with appeals of 1995, 1998, 2000. This man's appeal is a 2010 appeal or a 2015 appeal. When there are appeals of more than 15 years old in your court, why would you take up a 10-year-old appeal? You might, because for 10 years, this man is in jail. He just wants an answer. He says, I need to know where I stand. And you don't have the time. So that, if that gets into you as a judge, then there's no question of sacrifice when that man's life is in your hands. Likewise for the lawyer. This man is in jail for the last 10 years. The appeal is going to be called out. You want an adjournment. Why do you need an adjournment? Because he hasn't paid you his fees, your fees. Why hasn't he paid you your fees? Just in trying to get bail the first 2 years, his family has sold off all the land. So by the time the matter came up for trial, he had a legal aid lawyer. When it was taken up in the High Court, again, he's running around helter-skelter, is not able to find a lawyer. This is the truth of the situation, all right? So you can't develop a sense of responsibility as a judge if you did not have a sense of responsibility as a lawyer. The judges that you see today in the courts are a reflection of who you are as a bar. Please remember that. So, if we want good judges with a sense of responsibility, we must be a legal profession with a sense of responsibility.
very important. Very important. So, sir, all right. So, all of these, so again, anyone who reads about you, and I request anyone who's watching this video, please, I've shared sir's brief, not just the one with that we have created, but also the Wikipedia. And I think that's in itself sufficient if a person wants to briefly acquaint himself with sir. So, it's just, how do I say, like, the more I read about you, sir, it's not just you as a senior lawyer or you as an advocate or you as a judge, but sir, you as a person, how I see, and but sir, how? So I am an average person. So I do not say that I am very wise or I am very knowledgeable. Hardworking little maybe, that much I think I can admit. But sir,
So,
how does one person, like, because when we see people like you and all the things that you've done, so your career also, so much hype has been given to primarily legal aid matters and all the conversations that you're having with respect to shaping the legal profession in itself. So how does one person bring themselves to such high ideals?
no, it's only watching the best examples before you. See, the nice thing about the legal profession is that when you go to a court in a day and you have a case, let's say in court number 4, and item number, let's say 52, if you sat in that court and watched those 51 matters, they might be in a variety of topics with a variety of lawyers tackling a variety of issues. So it's like sitting in a class. In your law college, you could not enroll for the IPR course. Here on the original side in the Delhi High Court, free class on IPR. Some of the top-notch lawyers in IPR are arguing, matching their wits. What a huge treat, correct? Day after day, massive treat. Go into the criminal court, again a big treat. So many cases, difficult cases, horrible cases, lawyers handling it with great tact, great skill. Then you say, oh, I want to be a lawyer like this person. I want to be a lawyer like that person. I want to be a judge like that person. Right? Again, negatively, I will never be a judge like this. So impatient, so angry. Right? Passes such rash orders. I'm never going to be. If at all I'll be a judge, I will make sure I don't do the things that this judge does. Right?
So
How
I
many of
don't
us
think
have
that
said that?
anyone will admit to that.
You know, it can happen. And similarly with lawyers, one lawyer is keeping back vital documents. He's not serving copies on the other side. He's trying to pull off an order, which the judge is then shouting at him later, saying, you kept back these vital facts from me and you misled the court. So I'm saying it's an open university in a sense. When they say bar is a university, it's not a cliche, it's a truth. Bar is a university. So there is no boring day in court for a lawyer. There is no work court. Okay. No work day. Every day there is work to do. If not work on the case or work for your senior, work for yourself. You ask me, see, I did my PhD while I was practicing. I did my LLM while I was practicing. There's an R.K. Garg library in the Supreme Court. Have you seen that? So my waiting periods would all be in the R.K. Garg library. So in between matters, I'm in R.K. Garg library. If I'm not listening to one, Nariman, Mr. P.P. Rao or somebody like that in court, which is of course a delight in itself. So constant reading, that constant, you have to develop the art of reading very intensively. And no subject should be difficult for you to read. I would urge all of you to read about Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln didn't go to a regular school. He never went to a college. The term Lincoln lawyer came about because you traveled from court to court to argue your cases. So in Illinois, the district where Lincoln came from, as a group, the judge, the court, the lawyers would go from place to place and argue different kinds of cases. Lincoln, in between those hearings, when he stayed in a small village or town, would be reading topics like geometry, calculus, zoology, botany. Now, what does Abraham Lincoln have to do with botany? He was so thirsty for knowledge, Any book, anytime you give him, he will read it. He will read posters, pamphlets. The man's thirst for knowledge is so intense. Like tomorrow you have an IPO issue, right? Initial public offering from a company. They have prospectus, all small letters. You're not a company law lawyer. You don't know what a prospectus is. You don't know what a red herring prospectus is. These are all terminologies in company law. But you should be curious. It's lying around. Pick up, just read. It says preference shares. What is preference shares? What is promoters' equity? Just get curious about it. Any topic, anywhere, I ask people, which newspaper you read today? Blank. I don't read newspaper at all. Okay, I read a newspaper. What did you see? Sir, Delhi Times. I want to know what the latest in Bollywood. No harm. No harm in knowing what Bollywood. But even in Bollywood, there are so many films that talk about law. There are so many films which get banned because of law. You can specialize in law in film.
Absolutely,
Right?
sir.
So anything should interest you, anything should grasp you, but keep you on track because you are here to be a good lawyer. So that curiosity, the curious mind must seek knowledge. So because to go back to Lincoln, he read so extensively, he could write very well. That Gettysburg Address is just half a page. Write, rewrite, scratch out. You'll find Lincoln's speeches carefully worked on. Fortunately for the US, they preserve all of this, right? They have phenomenal archives, whereas in our country, we don't.
I
If
think
you
in
want
our
to know
country we try to
Panditji's
destroy as
tryst
soon as
with,
possible.
the tryst with Destiny's speech, God knows how much he worked on it.
So,
We don't know his first draft, second draft. We don't seem to be concerned about, preserving things. Now, of course, that movement has started. We have a Center for Judicial Archives in Orissa. I can talk to you about it later. But I just told this to a bunch of lawyers just 2 days ago. Very simple formula. Read intensively, write what you have read about. Whatever it is, you have read a judgment, summarize the judgment in writing. You've read an article, summarize that article in writing. You've read a book, write a review of that book. Once you read well and you write well, your language improves. If you do these two things well, you can speak very well. So if you have to speak well, you must write well. If you have to write well, you must read well. And that is the order. Read, write, speak.
so sir, I'm absolutely being very, how do I say, frank with you, trying to be. That's there is so much, every single word that you say, it brings out so much more relevance in so many aspects. So just trying to understand, sir, what made you you? So
I
how
got
was
made by others. This is the fact, Keshav. I got made by others. And I'll tell you how I got made by others. This is a profession that goes by word of mouth. You enter any bar association. Let's take the bar association Badam in UP, or Vishakhapatnam in Andhra, or Tiruchirappalli or Madurai in Tamil Nadu, anywhere, Akola in Maharashtra. Okay, enter any bar association. Ask any lawyer there, sir, can you tell me who's a good lawyer in cross-examination? Right? They will immediately tell you at least names of 3 lawyers who are good in cross-examination. Sir, who's the lawyer who's good in family law matters? Again, the names will come out. From whom? From your own colleagues. Your own colleague lawyers know which are the lawyers that work sincerely, which are the lawyers who present the cases well. Most importantly, sir, which lawyers can I trust? When you ask him, he will still tell you 3 people you can trust. How did that reputation build? Because you're performing in public. You're performing in the courts. You're performing against each other. So you have opinions about each other. Right? So this is the kind of inquiry that happens before somebody is made a senior advocate or somebody is made a judge. This is what should happen. It's what is expected to happen. And that is how, so I was given matters, I sought work of drafting. I knew some lawyers were overburdened with work. I offered to draft for free. I said, sir, for me, it's a learning. Let me draft it for free. After the first 3 free drafts, that lawyer himself felt, listen, it's unfair that, he's not paying me. So he started paying me something. But most importantly, when that his friend lawyer asked him, listen, I've got a limitation matter. It has to be done tomorrow morning. Can you tell me some young lawyer who drafted for me? He pointed to me. By my work, I had demonstrated that I was capable. It may be the smallest kind of work. Some lawyer gives you a brief, please go and take an adjournment, right? I'm caught up in the other court. By the time you're running from where he asked you to the court, you glance through the matter. The case is called out, the judge is asking, yes, who is it for the petitioner? You're saying, sir, Mr. So-and-so is held up, Mr. Keshav Sharma is held up. He's asked me to seek an adjournment. The judge says, what's this case about? You're blank. You say, sir, Mr. Sharma just asked me to come and take time. The judge has already made a mental note. This young lawyer is letting go of an opportunity. Right? Even a good judge will make a mental note that this is not an enthusiastic lawyer who's looking at it as a job, somebody's junior. Whereas if that in that half a second of interaction, the man says, sir, this is an injunction matter. Then the judge says, okay, at least this boy knows what is injunction. Then if you go further, if you say 39(4)(a), our application is pending. He says, not bad, he's noticed that. Or you say, sir, that injunction is coming to an end today, please extend it. Very good. Then Mr. Keshav Sharma is delighted. He just called you at random and gave you the paper book, but you've come back with a good order. Next time Mr. Keshav Sharma is asked by somebody else, which is the young lawyer you can, pass on matters to, he'll say, no, this boy, he's reading up matters. So how you seize, there is a expression called carpe diem, CARPEDIEM. You literally have to seize an opportunity. You don't know when that opportunity will come. There are stories of people who've been in the bar for 40 years, waiting for that opportunity does not come. There are people who made it big in the first 2 years. Fine. Doesn't make him a better lawyer than the other person. Because that's how life is. Justice Badr Ahmed used to tell us the story of Mullah Naziruddin. Mullah was walking around the road when he saw a bunch of 5 boys fighting. Then he stopped by and he asked the boys, what are you fighting about? Then one of them spoke. He says, there is one loaf of bread and we're all fighting on how to share it. And you seem to be an elderly person who's wise. So we want your help. So Mullah says, listen, there's only one condition. You have to tell me how you want this to be divided. Do you want to be divided like man would divide it? Or do you want me to divide it like God would divide it? So naturally, all those boys said, no, as God would divide it. So Mullah picked up half of the bread and gave it to one boy. Picked up another large chunk, gave it to the second boy. The third boy and fourth boy, he gave 2 very small chunks. And the fifth boy, he said, sorry, tough luck. They protested to Mullah. I said, what is this? So unfair. He said, I asked you at the beginning, do you want it to be given like God would give you or as man would give you? Has God given anyone equal things? Never. Even your 5 fingers are not equal. So this is something that you need to develop a lot of patience, forbearance in the profession. You don't know when that opportunity will come. But when it comes, when it knocks on the door, you must be awake. You must listen to the door knock. You must be able to open the door. Right? You must be ready for that moment. That seizing the moment is very important. This is not just about legal profession, it's probably about any profession, but definitely about the legal profession.
So, sir, just one question which flows from this.
I don't know how many of you seen, 1 minute. How many of you seen this film called Maestro? Maestro is about this phenomenal music conductor called Leonard Bernstein, who was in the US. He's no more now. This is a biopic made on him. So the opening shot itself is how he got his first break. He's actually a genius. All right, he's a genius. He's in his 25th year or something. He gets a call saying that the main conductor of the New York Philharmonic fell ill overnight. And tickets have been sold out. And they need a replacement. He's never rehearsed with that Philharmonic. I mean, it's unimaginable anybody will go perform on stage without rehearsing with a Philharmonic troupe. That's his first break. He's got this music all in his head. And he's all raring to go. He just needs that opportunity. You don't know when it is going to knock.
It's very motivating. It's very motivating. Jyoti, I'll
Good
take your
evening,
question.
sir.
Yeah,
Jyoti,
good
acha,
evening.
aap pucho, please.
Yeah.
Sir, because I had that opportunity appearing before my lords in land matters, if
Okay.
my lords recollect.
Right.
The 24-2 matters where we appeared and said that possession taken, compensation paid.
Pre-indoor and post-indoor development of
Yes, sir. So Mala said rightly said that we have to grab that opportunity. There are so many opportunity, but we have to, we have to grab that opportunity.
Correct.
Sir,
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Like,
And raise the bar there. And whichever opportunity, perform in the sense that you make others notice.
Right.
Notice it for the integrity with which you did your case.
True.
Very important.
Very
Sometimes, as a standing counsel, you may have told the court, actually, my learned friend has a point. Right? There is this judgment in his favor, which he has probably not noticed. Your standing in the bar will just go up overnight. I've seen so many lawyers do that.
But sir, so many people suppress also.
No. So those aren't the negative goodwill.
Yes.
Negative reputation. But a person who does this earns enormous goodwill.
Yes. If we are having judgment
Jyoti ma'am, your question,
which is not in our favor.
Ma'am, sir is with us for a limited time. So questions only, just fire.
So the question is very simple. I mean, we all are lawyers and practicing in court. On daily basis, we used to appear before court. It's just when the honorable court is dealing with the cases and busy with the cases, like giving the adjournment or issuing notices. Only, I mean, if for example, a matter listed before court and we want to submit before the court, we want to make some submissions to bring to the court knowledge, and the honorable court is saying simply issuing notice, but still we want to press hard so that the honorable court observe this in the order sheet or may give some observation so that it can help us getting that relief. So I mean, in that situation, what should we do there? I mean, the honorable court, like, okay, issue notice, you file counter affidavit, and the next date.
Find out for the judge how to make the judge listen, right?
Right.
Each judge is a different specimen.
Right.
It's like you enter a classroom as a teacher, there are 40 students, and you're a physics teacher. The bright students will immediately pick up the first two sentences you say. Some students need more persuasion. Some students, whatever you say, it's of no use, right? But as a teacher, you don't give up hope. Your task is to make all those students know about physics. So you change your tactic for different kinds of listeners, right?
Right. I got my answer.
And there are so many other imponderables here.
And for that purpose, we have to go in all courts on daily basis.
Sometimes that works, sometimes it need not work.
Yes.
They did a study in Israel, and I'm sure it's true of many of our courts. This was the bail court in Israel. Once, in the judicial hierarchy, the entry-level court. They found that the chances of getting bail were very high in the first 2 hours. The chances of adjournments became very high closer to lunch.
Right.
The chances of dismissal became very high post-lunch.
Right.
What it also tells us, the mental capacity. See, the brain starts tiring.
Correct.
And you can see that with some judges. Some good judges, of course, will remain alert through the day. So some good seniors are aware of this. The seniors are aware that for this judge, post-lunch is a problem. And
But
I have a very sensitive
sometime in
case.
the
I have a
morning
very
itself
troubling
it
case.
happened.
Yeah, I have a very sensitive case. I have a difficult case. I don't want to risk it. So you have to strategize. Either you get the
Correct.
judge interested in the case, or you persuade the judge to hear it on a day when the judge is fully alert. Sometimes you don't have that opportunity at all. You don't have that option because if you don't get an order by day after tomorrow, your client is finished. The case is over. So you have to develop so many strategies. So this is why, watching, observing, and lawyers who are deeply conscious of this are a step ahead of the rest. Some judges are very interested in legal propositions.
Right.
Some judges are super technical. This page is so dim. This is not typed properly. All those things will take a lot of time, not attested properly, right? Some judges can be super technical. So each judge you have to strategize differently.
So one
Thank you,
thing,
sir.
Jyoti ma'am, thank you so much for this very enlightening and insightful question. It got wonderful points. So one thing again, sir, because you mentioned such fascinating things about the responsibilities also and duties and caliber of a judge also. So the mere fact that a human being, a human body, has to sit on a chair from morning till 4:30 or 4 p.m. every single day and study, and after going back also they have to do the same thing. So does it not lead to some kind of a toll on the physical body?
Many judges, I must share with you, many judges develop back problems and also ulcers, stomach issues, because your body is suddenly in a different posture and a same posture for hours on end. As a lawyer, you're moving around between courts. So you're not sitting in the same place. But as a judge, you're forced to stay in the same place. And then we also encounter a lot of negative energies. People come to our courts with problems, right? Either both go dissatisfied if you've not been able to take up the case or it's adjourned, or definitely one person goes away unhappy because the other side has got a favorable order. So you have a lot of negative energies in the court, and you sense that. If you're a sensitive person, you immediately sense it. So that is something that judges need to be conscious of. In Delhi High Court, when we came down for the lunch hour, we all met at lunch table and let off steam. So we had a jokes corner where we would crack some jokes and laugh and get our steam off. It's very important. That's very important to do. In some high courts, you don't see each other because of the practices of that court. You could be a judge in the annex building with your chamber in the annex building. The other judge is in the main building, and you could end up not meeting for 2 months or 3 months, except on those formal occasions where it doesn't give you much chance to interact. So these are issues that judges must acknowledge and must work on. Again, you follow the best practices, you talk to the seniors, you find out how they dealt with it. There's a lot of learning that happens amongst judges. You form your own role models, good practices. And you sit, when you get appointed as a judge, you sit with the senior partner, right? Senior judge. Then you learn from that, how does the senior judge deal with these issues?
Okay, so one question I was trying to hold back for the end, but I think this is the best moment for that. So when you were officially appointed as a judge, so what did you feel? How was it, and how is it transitioning from a lawyer to a judge?
Yeah. So one was discipline, right? I don't think I was too indisciplined as a lawyer, but as a judge, you really need to be disciplined. I sat with Justice Mukul Mudgal, for whom 10:30 meant 10:30. He later explained to me how he got his 10:30 moment because of the strict headmaster he had in school. In modern school, he had a particular class teacher completely intolerant of lack of punctuality. So it was somehow drilled into him that punctuality is non-compromise. You sit with a judge like that for 6 months, it becomes part of you also. And then the bar appreciates if at 10:30 the judge sits in the chair. So very simple thing that you start learning, discipline. And then this procrastination, right? So I learned that it hurts to procrastinate. Third, initially when you come in from the bar, you're already arguing cases. You have one case argued before you already know the arguments against it. You have to curtail that urge to argue. You find some judges into heated arguments with the lawyer.
So you want to have water? You want to take a break?
Yeah, no, I'm fine.
Yeah, because sir, it's just fantastic. Sir, I'm sure, sir, we will take your entire evening also if you'll permit, sir. So it's just fascinating. Sir, it's absolutely wonderful. So again, sir, so I'll just go back to other people's questions, not mine for now.
Yeah.
So Miss Akanksha Rathore has a question. Akanksha ji, you want to ask your question? Ma'am, please.
Yes, sir. So, good evening, sir. So, sir, I have heard that in the initial stage of the litigation, you should not pick a particular field, and it would eventually a field of law would choose you and not the otherwise. So, how should a beginner streamline their career from that aspect?
Yeah. So not all beginners have this luxury of a choice. I can tell you, I didn't have a luxury of a choice. Keshav read out all your Phillips E. Jessup first rank. It didn't help me find a good office in Madras. This is the fact of the matter. The first office I joined, the senior had inserted an advertisement in the Hindu in Madras saying he wanted a junior. That's how I got there. He paid me 500 a month. He was an excellent conveyancing lawyer, drawing up sale deeds, powers of attorney, GPA, SPA, all of it. He was on the panel of insurance companies and banks. So there were lots of motor accident claims, matters, and money suits. He would not go to the court himself for some reason because he was fully caught up with his conveyancing. That was his passion. So he let me go to the court. So though my first beginning grounding was in the city civil court. So if I went with a thing saying I wanted to be a constitutional law lawyer, I mean, there's no such luxury, right? And I'll tell you that conveyancing which he did was so critical. You may think conveyancing is some child's play. It's not at all. It's very challenging. Drawing up a plaint is very challenging. Drawing up a writ petition is not half as challenging as drawing a plaint. And drawing a plaint in just 5 to 10 pages is the most challenging. Even if it's a money suit. Of course, if it's a suit for specific performance, other issues. Readiness, willingness, all those standard paragraphs. But you begin to realize it's like an ocean, right? And there are several masters. There are several domain experts here. What that man can do in sale deeds, you can never do as a constitutional law lawyer. I can tell you as an advocate on record, I foolishly thought I could get a will registered for my father's old friend by just walking into that sub-registrar's office on Asif Ali Road. I went 4 times and came back frustrated. Till someone told me, साहब वो वहां तो वकील बैठे हैं, यही करते हैं काम, उनको पकड़िए आप. So then it got done. That guy looked at the will I had drafted and he said, नहीं ये तो यहाँ नहीं होता, वहाँ नहीं होता है. All that, he got it all set right. So I'm just saying, there is whatever opportunity you get, don't be fastidious on choice of office. And there are some lawyers who are not paragons of virtue. Okay. There are lawyers who enjoy their drink after 8 p.m. in the evening, right? Don't say, I will never work for a lawyer who drinks at 8 in the evening. That's his life, as long as he's not compelling you to drink. Pick up whatever you want from that law office, from that lawyer. Of course, if he's acting immorally, objectionably, all that is, of course, there. But, don't let that, whatever that lawyer does in his free time or her free time bother you, as long as you're learning something in that law office. And don't continue learning. Someday you have to take the plunge. Right? It's like going around the swimming pool, watching all swimming lessons on YouTube, but never getting into the pool. Someday you have to get to the pool and start kicking hands and feet.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. That was very helpful.
Very kind of you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your question. Sir, there is one question from Mr. Saurabh. Saurabh ji, you want to ask your question? So this is more relevant to how you started off the conversation today. Saurabh ji, you're on mute.
I think Shashank also put up his hand.
Yes, sir.
Shashank
Yes, sir.
Shekhar.
Shashank ji, we'll take your question first. Saurav ji, तब तक आप अपना mute को आप check करो एक बार. Shashank ji, are you here?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Please.
Good evening.
Sir, I was just reading your judgment of Banyan Trading Tree Holding Limited.
Banyan.
Banyan. Banyan. And I joined your session. So, sir, my question to you is: we are often taught in our law schools that option of an alternative remedy is not a bar to the writ remedies, especially under Article 32 of the Constitution. And we saw the bail application of Mr. Hemant Soren. It was rejected in the Supreme Court, and he was asked to go to approach the High Court. So, sir, how do we decide whether the Article 32 jurisdiction is a discretion vested upon the Supreme Court, especially when I prove that I have approached under the appropriate proceedings? Does the court not become a duty-bound court to hear me rather than shifting me to a different High Court?
No, this is actually not difficult to answer. If everyone came to the Supreme Court directly, what do you think would happen? So there has to be some gatekeeping, there has to be some screening, right? There has to be. I mean, unless the person is like it happened during the years of militancy in Punjab, it happened during the years in Jammu and Kashmir, where even the high courts could not entertain writs for a variety of reasons. In fact, those were the reasons why they came directly to the Supreme Court. I'm saying there could be a variety of reasons why, writ petitions are entertained. Like the same Supreme Court does entertain habeas corpus petitions. Right? So judges make an assessment. Can this person actually go to a high court? Will the person's plea for justice get defeated if it goes to the high court? All these weigh with the court. So I don't think we should judge this off very easily. As lawyers, we strategize. We say, nevertheless, we go to the Supreme Court and withdraw it with liberty to go to the High Court. Right? So they think that kind of an order when they show to the High Court has some meaning. May not. But this is not for us to judge.
Right.
So I would not, I'm not surprised that this order was passed.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Shashank. So, in light continuation of this trail of thought, so when matters get hyped in the media or when there are some political interests involved, so how does a judge?
You're supposed to be above it. See, this is becoming a huge challenge, and we're only talking of Supreme Court and High Court. In our conversations, we never talk about the district judiciary. We had a very fascinating session in Orissa for 2 consecutive years, where we have an annual meeting of the district judiciary with the High Court. And when I took over as Chief Justice, I suggested that the judges should suggest topics on which we have discussions. One of the topics that the judges wanted to discuss was social media. So one of them asked all of us as High Court judges, that the witness is in the box. And I get as a WhatsApp forward video clips about that witness. What do I do? And this is a real problem. You actually have a problem. So as a judge, are you able to rise above this? This media pressure, society's pressure on the judge is intense, and it's always been there. Your caliber as a judge is tested if you're able to rise above it. Why do they ask for transfer of cases outside a court, like Kathua, right? The Kathua brutal gang rape and murder of that young Bakarwal girl. Why did they shift it outside Kathua? I mean, they shifted it across the border to Pathankot, I think, to Punjab. But sometimes you shift the trial out because of the intense pressure that can be brought on the court itself if it is decided locally. So there could be a variety of reasons why a judge feels under pressure, but your mettle is tested if you're able to rise above it.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And so I think that is how the entire country is functioning so far, because of such resolve, people with such strong resolve.
Yeah.
But so just my 2 cents, and I'm understanding that time is less, so just 2 cents, sir. So I did my master's in public relations from Bombay University before getting into law, and I got some exposure with media as well. So honestly, today it's very difficult for me to flip through a newspaper and believe anything at all, because so I've seen how they create. So it's very dangerous and very risky. And so with the new, I think, sir, so the Saurabh's question, we've been unable to take it, but it was more with respect to how do you see the impact of AI and ML, whatever new artificial intelligence technologies are coming on the legal profession, will there be any some constructive difference, or will such manipulated media just manage everything?
As long as it's a tool and you are able to control the tool, it is safe. It should not control you, you should be able to control it. That's the basic answer for any technology, any advancement in all of us. The minute you see it controlled to that device or that artifact, or to that program or the algorithm, then it takes no time for you to substitute your brain. So it's a choice that you have to make, right?
But the most humbly,
See,
if I'm being
let's just
permitted.
look at how we become slaves to this mobile phone, right?
Absolutely.
In my own growing years, I've gone from a no phone to a landline, then to the mobile phone. I could retain, even as a lawyer, at least 100 telephone numbers offhand. And today I can remember my mobile number, but I know friends who can't remember their own mobile number. They only say, sir, I will give you a missed call. And my number will flash on your phone. So we have allowed ourselves to get dumbed down. You have to watch out for this. If you take the lazy route saying, let it do the job that I have to do, then you're surrendering to a technology or device which is imperfect. AI is your creation. You are an imperfect being yourself. So it's bound to be with its imperfections. And in India kind of a situation, it all depends on databases. It crunches big data, right? Data crunching, you would have heard this expression, data crunching. If the data itself is unclean, they say, no, you clean up the data. Like I spell my name with an A between an R and an L, right? You've noticed that. 90% of the people will spell my name without that A. Right? Now, AI will not know that actually my name has been misspelled. An arrest warrant is out to get me. Some poor MURLA will get arrested. And it's a loss of liberty. By the time he tells a court, sir, spelling mistake, 3 months gone. If you're under UAPA, 6 months gone. So I'm just saying, we have to be very, very cautious about us being slaves to technology or technology being slaves to us. If you're not on top of it, it will easily get on top of you. So this is something that you need to discuss, analyze, and be aware of the pitfalls if you let it just substitute all your functions.
Sir, but just for the record, sir, today a lot of people, like students, law students, young lawyers, people with whatever questionable or howsoever experience, they're teaching law on reels, social media. People go on Instagram and all reels. People just keep scrolling. There's tremendous amount of real work happening so online. Just, I think it's good. I'm hopeful that it's good.
We need to know limitations of this kind of a switch to technology. I myself use, for instance, an iPad from which I'm arguing in the courts these days. I carry all my files in scanned format, but I should not let my understanding of the law, my analysis of the law to get substituted by the machine.
Absolutely, sir. So just one final question from Mr. Harpreet Singh Hora. So it's with respect to one very happy moment that you have. Harpreet ji, you want to ask your question, please?
Yes.
Harpreet ji, are you with us?
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Keshav, for giving me this opportunity. So, Honors, I wanted to ask a question. So, from your personal experience, could you please share with us any moment when you felt the happiest throughout your judicial career? Like you saw a case, you saw any junior lawyer.
Several moments.
Please share it with us. Because we hardly get to see these side of the judges. So I just wanted you to share one of those moments with us. Thank you.
Many moments, at least 3 or 4 occasions when the pension order was finally handed over to the petitioner in court and the petitioner broke down. So, after waiting for some 15 years, 18 years for that one pension order, right? So as a judge, don't give long adjournments, make sure it gets implemented, make sure that they bring the order to the court. What I realize as a judge is just allowing a petition is not enough. Fixing a time limit, not disposing it off, but saying on the next day, you better bring that order. That's very, very important. Likewise, compensation in Orissa, for accidental death of a young girl in a school, a tribal girl in a school. We kept the matter in court till they brought the demand draft to give to her parents. So these are very, very important techniques that one uses, and these are very happy moments, life-changing moments for those people. So there at 377, when we pronounced the judgment in court, Justice Shah and I, many adult persons broke down in court, because finally it was an acknowledgement that they exist, an acknowledgement that they could come out and live with dignity and not be in fear of always being a criminal. So these are all those irreversible, life-changing moments. And as a judge, you're given the privilege to be part of that. And it's indescribable, that feeling. I mean, elation is one thing, tremendous amount of satisfaction. The smallest of the cases give you a lot of satisfaction. It gave me a satisfaction even as a lawyer. So
actually, we all feel that justice given, justice done.
And everybody recognizes that. You see, everybody in the court knows when justice is done. That moment, like the Bhopal gas disaster, the second round of competition, the victims were all in Jantar Mantar, right? And I'd been arguing the case before different benches of the Supreme Court. They would all tell me, this settlement happened in 1999 itself. Why are we reopening? Blah, all of that questions. This was on the fluctuating US dollar rupee exchange. Because of the value of the dollar having gone up, another tranche of huge amount of money was still there with the Reserve Bank, which we wanted because those are the big money meant for the victims. So it happened on one fine afternoon, one bench of the Supreme Court. Let me argue for more than 10 minutes, more than 20 minutes, more than 40 minutes. And then heard the ASG who was that day there and dictated the judgment then and there in court, ordering release of this extra bit of compensation. My people who came from Bhopal, who watched the main organizers, they wouldn't believe me when I told them it's done. They said, how can it suddenly be done? I said, it's done. They said, the fellow people are sitting on fast. If I go and tell them, they will not believe me. We want you to come with us. So I hadn't even removed my gown. I was bundled to a car, taken straight to Jantar Mantar, and I was made to stand on a makeshift pedestal and tell them all that this has happened. So there is a photograph in my chamber. I always keep it on my desk. I wish I had that right now to show you. I can't show it to you right now. Where they're holding me up. So these are indescribable moments. How do you can't put a value on this at all.
I'll come visit you to see that picture. It's a done thing.
Right.
So again, so we're time bound. You started off by saying, and obviously, sir, we respect the fact that you mentioned the first thing that you said was discipline and punctuality. So, but sir, today I hope that sir we are clear on one thing, that you have to come back again and again and again and again. Right, sir, please, sir, you become the champion of this thought, sir, because they're actually, sir, what I've been so I'll tell you very briefly, sir, what we've been able to do so far from 25 High Court jurisdictions, sir, across all India. So during COVID, sir, we because there was a lack of learning, whatever opportunity, all courts were practically shut. There was absolutely no filing happening. So our seniors, our mentors, they guided us. They said that we'll take the baton up of letting you guys learn. At least your learning should continue even if there are no matters. And so that is how it started. And so we were able to encompass all 25 high courts in this one particular initiative. And so how do I say, so that was the one point of time when I truly understood what the legal fraternity really is. All senior advocates, all people who were who and who of where and where. Everyone came, so everyone gave their time very generously. And so just like yourself, everyone tried to teach us and tell us good things only, motivate us. So it's just a blessing that we're being able to do this and continue this. And so how do I say, sir? I thank you on behalf of everyone. But sir, just one final thing, sir. Now this is, sir, where I pull the rabbit out of the hat. Sir, I've heard, I'm not sure, but I've heard that while you were before accepting judgeship, that you had so you were practicing at the Supreme Court most of the time, and you had this one particular van which was yours, which you had made into your office. Now, so what is the story about that? And I say, I beg your time for that.
It's a Maruti Omni van, and it doubled up as my chamber. So, outside that, now I don't know what it's called. When you enter the Supreme Court, from the Mathura Road
ILI
side.
building and all towards.
Correct. From the Mathura Road side, on the left, you have those chambers. So the 90, 80 to 90, that number of chambers. Raju Ramchandran has a chamber there, and Mr. Javli had a chamber, Mr. R.B. Datar had a chamber, Mr. Sushil Kumar, chamber 95. So Mr. Sushil Kumar would park his car under the tree, and my van would park next to him. Some days, if I reach earlier, I'll be able to park. But that formed my chamber also. I didn't have a chamber in the court. So it was very convenient sitting in the rear seat. I had a very efficient stenographer. So again, you need to earn the respect of stenographers also. Once you don't waste your time and you're precise, and some of them appreciate and they'll come back to work for you. So all that, I realized that this institution is remarkable. These stenographers know so much about the law that you don't know. They know so much about procedure that you don't know. Those munshis that you see, that they know a lot. They know which lawyer is good for which matter. So they're all silently observing all of us and learning a lot. Anyway, so that van was my chamber. And I would have my lunch, of course, there, sitting there, but I would dictate matters in between. So it continued like that for many, many years, till I graduated to a car, then to a driver and all of that. So that was what the van was all about. And later we gave it away to Friendicos, the agency that helps pets, rescues pets. We gave it away to Friendicos.
It's just, how do I say that? Because I had this thought, someone mentioned, but I was not believing. I was like, I need to ask him, but I was like, I'll ask him at the last. Just in case he was like, oh, what are you asking me?
So the day I became a judge, they call you to give your signatures. You undergo a medical examination and they take your signatures. The day I went to the Delhi High Court Registrar General's office to give my signatures for the warrant, that was the day I was allotted a chamber in the MC Settlement block. So I just had to open the chamber door, lock it back, come away.
Sir, I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes.
All right. So now, sir, we've gone over time. So, sir,
Yeah.
if you
Sir,
permit,
one question. Sir,
last
please,
question.
sir, please, one question.
Yeah, if sir permits, of course. Sir,
All right. Last question.
last question.
Sir, how does LLM help in litigation, and how we ensure the smooth transition from academic to litigation?
So I said earlier also, read, write, speak. If anything helps you read more intensively, write more intensively, it will help you speak more better. And LLM will make you read more. It will make you write more.
Yes.
So today mantra is read, write, and speak.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
And know when not to speak also. That's also important.
Very true.
So there was this. You made AI and you are not perfect. So that's also very strong.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
sir, it's
Thank
just
you. It's a
our
lovely
humble
initiative.
blessing.
It reminds me of the initiative we started as a Friday meeting group. Now Seshagiri Rao is running out so well. We started that group in 1998. After my visit to England and South Africa, where I watched the legal system there, I wanted to share it with our colleague lawyers. So we started it in 1998, and it's gone on. It stopped for a few years after I became a judge, but Seshagiri Rao has revived it, and it's doing very well. So your initiative reminds me of it. I must compliment you, Vestralex, and your learning class. It's an enormously good initiative, and may you keep doing this for many, many years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Deeply grateful to you, sir.
Yeah.
Deeply grateful
Thank
to
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you,
With
sir.
your permission, I'll end the meeting now.
Yes, please. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you,
so
sir.
much.
Thank
So
you.
kind of you.
Thank you.